Okay, my peoples, by the grace of God, we're here again, going to continue to finish studying the book of Exodus, and eventually we'll get to Ellen G. White's account of it, telling the story. But I do have to say something regarding my driving. Now, this video is recorded later in the evening of the previous one. I think this is part 7. Here's something interesting. I'm taking truck driving classes. I say this because one of our friends is teasing me. The camera lady is teasing me because he said I do get a stiff driving. Like a robot. Because when you're driving, they scare me at school, you know. I gotta look, you know, I'm like, I gotta make sure, you know, hands on the wheel. It's a big 20-inch wheel. And I'm like, it's okay, but it's like, you know, sometimes it can make you feel a little nervous, you know. So I'm trying to be the best, and I'm used to driving with one hand because I used to drive a stick shift before. So I'm used to driving with one hand. I feel more free and relaxed with one hand and stuff with the car. But with the, you know, I'm trying to practice with two hands just to, you know, so that when I get to the, you know, drive the truck, I won't be like, I forget, you know. So I'm trying to do this. So just want to give this a little background. So if a video look kind of stiff, stiff in the last one, where it's like, you know, it's just, forgive me, bear with me, okay? Put in the comments, you look so stiff, he's Mr. Stiff Guy. You know? I had to start laughing at it. It was like, oh boy, it's like a robot. I am robot. So we're gonna try this one. So we're gonna be cutting to you. It's nighttime driving. Listen to the audio, please, of Exodus 25. We want to get Exodus finished, the whole chapter. I think goes up to chapter 40. Then we'll get into Ellen G. White's account of it. If it may not be this week, it'll be for her revelation of it next week when the video comes out. Because also she gives a little summation of reading the story again. So she summarized it again, and then she gives it this explanation and description of everything. So it will be okay. So if you say, I don't remember this one, we'll lead back to it. Okay? But God's mercies, let's go.
Exodus 25.
We're going to go back to 25.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart. Ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold, and silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and rams' skins dyed red, and badgers' skins, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod, and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, within and without shalt thou overlay it, and shalt make upon it a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it. And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold. Of beaten work shalt thou make them, in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another. Toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandment unto the children of Israel. Thou shalt also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make that.
Okay, gonna pause it real quick just to kind of give you like a quick recap. Because sometimes, when you join it in the middle of a video, it's like, what part of the series is this? It's good to go from the beginning to the end. We're talking about the story of Exodus, the children of Israel leaving from Egypt to go into heaven, the spiritual, to Canaan itself. We say like us also going from physical world here, going to spiritual heavenly Canaan, when God comes and makes everything new. Going into the last day events as we're living in right now. So what's been described now is called a tabernacle service, and the different structures that are in the tabernacle service there, as well as the Ark of the Covenant, where God, put the 10 Commandments that was given to Moses. So it's given a description of where everything went, where the placement of everything, and he's going to give how the tribes are ordered around. So it may sound a little bit obvious. What? Where am I? We're talking about the description. What's happening? So we want to know, how did God lead his people before our time? And will he do it again now? How did God care for his people before our time? And will he do it again now? Are we ready to meet God when he comes back in our time? Were you ready back then? And what are we doing to prepare? How have we learned lessons from the past? How have we learned from, what has happened to the previous Israelites traveling through the wilderness? Were they just griping, complaining, and murmuring, or were they trying to do God's will? And while doing it, how many people were actually obedient to God's will and did it, follow the commandments as it's supposed to? So a lot of things are very similar, something to be different, but the same message is the same. Sin comes in 3 forms, right? Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. At the same time, God is still the same God who has not changed. Old Testament, New Testament, still the same God. But humanity, we make commitments, we make covenants and stuff with God, and we say we'll keep, but many times we fall short. But God doesn't fall short on his end. So we're trying to see, how can we keep our part of the agreement with God, knowing that he's coming back soon. We need to get our hearts and minds ready. So what are we doing to prepare and keep ourselves ready? Remember, God said, work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. That we're supposed to do. So we're reading from the Old Testament, King James Version, the book of Exodus, and we will have it explained and expounded more on by Ellen G. White's writings in the Patriarchs and Prophets later on when we get to the next videos, I think part 8 or 9, depending on what time how we end this one. Okay, so bear with us while we go through this, and I'll try to I'm letting the system read in the Bible app, let it read itself to you, so you can hear the full story, so that when we actually go over it, you'll hear the whole thing in detail and with more explanations of it. Okay, so bear with us right now. God bless you guys.
To a crown of gold round about, and thou shalt make unto it a border of an handbreadth round about, and thou shalt make a golden crown to the border thereof round about, and thou shalt make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be 4 places of the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And thou shalt make the dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof, to cover withal. Of pure gold shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me always. And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work shall the candlestick be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls, his knobs and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with a knob and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knob and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knobs and their flowers. And there shall be a knob under 2 branches of the same, and a knob under 2 branches of the same, and a knob under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the candlestick. Their knobs and their branches shall be of the same. All it shall be one beaten work of pure gold. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with all these vessels. And look that thou make them after their pattern, which was shown thee in the mount.
So some people can say, oh, it's boring, all the details, but it's very descriptive in how God...
Exodus 26. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and every one of the curtains shall have one measure.
Pause 1 second.
The 5 curtains shall be coupled.
Just to let you know, when you hear the word cherubims are angels with 4 wings. So they had different descriptions. It was a artly over of a structure, which you see of angels of a covering ark. See? So we call cherubims. So they had it so that the angels would be like, say, over the throne of God, over the 10 Commandments, work inside of the tabernacle. But they would be shown as if with their wings shown in a certain way, and they had it made out of gold, different ornaments and structure. So they gave them the description of the earthly tabernacle, which is symbolic representative of the heavenly tabernacle. So that's why you say, what is this cherubim? You hear different terms and stuff. It's like, what? And when I read the Bible, I read it with a dictionary close by to see what does it mean, and in the Bible, some Bibles have an explanation of it. So it's like, well, what detail? And it's don't listen. The best thing to do is go and look it up. Look it up. As you look it up, you may find other references. Oh, and see where this is mentioned. So we have angels, you have cherubims, which have 4 wings, and you have seraphims, which have 6 wings. So here's another part. Not every angel we talk about have to have, say, wings necessarily. Angels are called ministering spirits. They're messengers. Okay? Do you remember the ones that went to see Lot? And to get Lot and them out of Sodom and Gomorrah? Did you see them having big wings coming to Lot and his meeting by the gates to tell him, people, I'm here to save you? No massive wings. So how some of them have wings and some don't? How some of them are showing wings and things? I mean, from what I understand, the wings are supposed to represent speed and swiftness, as well as just beautiful. You seen a 6-winged creature or 4-winged creature? Wow, like the seraphims. You have some that what they had described in the Bible, with 2 wings, they fly, 2 to cover their face and cover their feet. A lot of descriptive stuff. God is very creative. So I'm like, I want to see more. See what else He has there. So we're just saying, it may seem confusing to hear all this stuff right now, the words and how it is. But if you can follow along in the chapter of Exodus, and just read the words and say what it means and look them up. That would be a nice lesson to say how and expound on it. What does it mean to have these things here? Because God wants us to understand. Because later on they will come up again in another description. Like Satan is called a covering cherub. Covering cherub. So Satan has 4 wings. So when you see the movies talking about he has 2 wings, there's some bat wing and some kind of black dark wings and fangs and looking like dragon, all kind of stuff. That's wrong. Satan should have 4 wings if he's a covering cherub. Okay? So let people understand. Don't be misled by what the world is telling us. They want to teach us this way, this, and this, and that. That's the reason why we're making these videos, to kind of expose the truth, expose the errors and to bring forth the truth. To say, hey, don't follow what they've been trying to teach us and tell us all this time, trying to give us this conditioned, this kind of watered down version of the Bible and all this thing. They want somebody's speculation, somebody's fluff. I want the real word. I want God's word only. That's what we do in these videos. Tell me God's word only. That's all we need. Okay, so we're trying to give it to you as is, as should be. Okay, so just want to let you know that part. Okay. So when you see these descriptions, like, what? Look it up. God bless. You press, my friend, please.
Together one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain, from the selvage in the coupling. And likewise shalt thou make in the uttermost edge of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And thou shalt make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle, and a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side, and on that side to cover it. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering above of badger's skins. And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall there be in one board, set in order, one against another. Thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle 20 boards on the south side southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side there shall be 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward thou shalt make 6 boards, and 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold, for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof which was shown thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubims shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil under the taches, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north side. And thou shalt make an hanging for the door of the tent, blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them.
Very specific, very detailed. So some kind of monotonous in some parts, but it's very
Exodus
detailed.
27.
God knows why.
And thou shalt make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessels thereof thou shalt make of brass. And thou shalt make for it a grate of network of brass. And upon the net shalt thou make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shalt thou make it, as it was shown thee in the mount, so shall they make it. And thou shalt make the court of the tabernacle for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen, of 100 cubits long for one side. And the 20 pillars thereof, and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars, and the fillets, shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side in length there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be an hanging of 20 cubits of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework, and their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle, and all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring thee pure oil, olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamp to burn always. In the tabernacle of the congregation without the veil, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall order it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever unto their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel.
Very detailed. So now we get into the priesthood and the different roles everyone plays.
Exodus 28. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they shall take gold, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. It shall have the 2 shoulder pieces thereof joined at the 2 edges thereof, and so it shall be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends. Of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod thou shalt make it, of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set in it settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the 4th row a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold. And thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate, in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. And 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart thereof, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue.